A couple of friends decided they would take a trip to Utah, Enterprise to be exact, a small one-horse farming town. There was only one motel in town. They stopped for the night, especially since the next stop was at least 200 miles away. Michelle Belouise had no problem staying here for the night. She loved Enterprise. Michelle was actually raised there. Only problem was, the motel in this town was kinda run down. No one came to town anymore, so no one came to stay at the motel. Cockroaches and rats made their homes here. No one cared. Kept them from coming onto the farms. The motel's owners even started to feed them to pass the time. Tawny Bernard now knew why her friend thought this motel would better off being abandoned. Michelle offered to drive to the church to ask for the keys to her family's now abandoned farmhouse. This town looked like they didn't know the meaning of violence or had ever seen a gang. Her friend wouldn't hear of it and bought a room for the night. Upon getting into the room, there was a funky smell.
This hotel has a stink covering the whole fucking place.
Cursed Michelle, opening the window.
It just needs to air out. Dinner at Marv's? My treat.
Smiled Tawny, showing off her sharp canines. She really just wanted away from the awful smell. Mars was the only diner and place to eat in the entire town. Tawny wasn't sure what they served, but she'd eat human and shit sauce, just anything to get away from the smell. After dinner, Michelle took her friend up to Dixie, a place where they could watch the sunset and take photographs. Tawny Bernard loved this. Tawny got to be close with nature and allow the room to air out. Though, after a few hours, they had to return to the room. Michelle's friend opened the door, almost forgetting the smell, until Tawny smelled it. It was still there. Still fucking there. Michelle waved her hand in front of her face.
Shit, I thought this would have been a skunk or some critter. Maybe the critter is in here?
Tawny Bernard suggested, cocking her brow. The two of them dropped to their knees and started to look. Tawny stood up and peered into the vent. She saw something that made her screw up her face.
What the?
A camera. A video camera. Someone was filming them. Tawny spun around when she heard Michelle scream. She pointed a shaky hand at the window. A masked man peered into the lone window. Michelle ran into the bathroom and slammed the door shut. She could hear the door to the room being banged upon. Michelle could hear her friend screaming in the hack of a knife on skin. She clamped her hands over her ears and began to sob. When Michelle thought she could cry no more, when the screams and hacking stopped, she let her hands drop to her sides and her blue eyes flicked upwards, towards the mirror. "Smile! You're on camera!" Michelle screamed and opened the door.
Tony!
She dropped to her knees and started to crawl to avoid being seen by the man. Michelle didn't see him or Tawny. She peered under the bed she didn't check for the critter. There was her friend, stabbed to death. Next to her body was another corpse. This one was very decomposed and was probably responsible for the smell. She looked up and screamed. The man plunged the knife down into Michelle's body.